Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to my channel. My name is Colin Spencer, and you are watching Odd One Out. For this video, this is the intro video. This is the first video I've ever put up on YouTube, the first video on my channel, where I'll be discussing the reason for this channel's existence, the whole direction of it, a small little bit about me, about what I want to see come from this channel, and just about this whole political environment that we're in, how we've got here, how we can move forward, can we move forward, how can we work together with the other side, and this will all be from the perspective of somebody who considers themselves center-left. I've been told by my friends that I'm, more than center-left, and I accept that may be valid. I do personally feel like I'm center-left. I used to be somebody who was on the right, plain middle right probably. I kind of had a center there for a little bit, but over the recent course of events of these politics and just digging into my own research, I've become just at least center left and perhaps just left in general. And I was a little bit shocked by the results of this election, and more so in terms not necessarily of the result, because I definitely thought that Trump could win. I really thought it was a coin flip about 50-50. I do think that we had plenty of results, some polls, that were not at all close to reality, such as Ann Selzer's Iowa poll. I don't know what to make about some of the polling that we got before the election, leading up to the election, after the debate. And so, definitely saw a Trump victory being possible, and the popular vote stands at this point about 1.4%. So it's not like it was actually a landslide, but he won all 7 battleground states, albeit by tens of thousands of votes and not hundreds of thousands of votes. So close margin, but I still, I don't think that I certainly didn't, and I don't think the left really saw just how America is starting to move right. And when I say at least starting to, I mean at least more than we expected, more than we anticipated, more than we game planned for. Did we game plan for anything? Outside of our own victory? What was the game plan following our victory? We on the left, I believe, have good policy, have good ideals, have a deep bench, as is like to repeatedly be stated over and over. I do think that all this is true. I think that the left, however, is very out of touch with the people of America. I don't think that the left, including myself, have kept up with the Americans moving right, whether that be you have your political influences, such as Charlie Kirk, Benny Johnson, Ben Shapiro. You have your podcasts that are by, I personally think, good faith actors like Joe Rogan. I mean, I personally don't think the guy is out to do purposefully any harm. I do think he has a massive platform, and he kind of just spitballs and does like bro talk, which is fine. But people, I feel like, kind of look to him. You may not just immediately think politics, but you may think, "Huh, Joe Rogan, I kind of want to be like that guy," and without realizing it, next thing you know, you're hearing him talk about um, ivermectin as being the more viable solution than COVID treatments, not just vaccines, but also treatments, and like Paxlovid, for example. Um, and so you have, your podcast bros that are listening to this, people my age. I'm 30 years old. And you have people that are like, okay, yeah, no, he's onto something here. Or he'll talk about some conspiracy, oh, he's onto something there. And so I don't think that America, I don't think the left truly grasped how leaning right that America has become. And Twitter, which I will dedicate at least, I don't know, ad nauseum, they will certainly be a topic. Twitter /X, Elon Musk, the massive disinformation campaign that the right has launched and been very effective and successful at carrying out. And the left is honestly labeled as the emotional party for fine reasons. I think also We have to acknowledge how emotional the right is. And I mean that in the sense of getting stirred up over trans people, trans rights, the trans issue, the trans community issue that faces America, where Trump can spend $100 million nationwide on an ad saying that Kamala is for they them, when the quote used of Kamala Harris speaking was from 2019, whenever she was being asked about a law that was instated under Trump. Since she was simply doing as a good faith American politician would do, which is carry out the will of the American people and say that we're going to follow the law, we're going to respect the law, we're going to obey the law. You would think that the party of law and order would understand that. And it's really unfortunate that Kamala Harris and her campaign did not launch counter ads to that. She did state in her interview with Bret Baier on Fox, on a decent outlet for it, which is maybe why she didn't think that she needed to go any further, which was false. She did state on the interview the context, that it was 2019 and it was under Trump. But she and her campaign did not seem to counter this very well. And statistics, whatever, political research has come out and shown that ad about Kamala is for they, them, Trump is for you, was maybe the most effective political ad of all time. And so I think that we sometimes fail to understand just how emotional the right is as well. So, that's kind of a little touch on how or why we got here, and in this little state of confusion, despair, defeat. We're here, and it's not like it was in 2016. 2016, and actually, as an aside, which I'll go over myself later, but I was actually a Trump fan in 2016. We knew that the left knew that they were in for, a tough uphill battle with Trump in 2016. 2024 is vastly different. This is a much different Trump than the first term Trump that America dealt with. This is a vindictive, vengeful Trump that has faced charges not from the Biden-Harris administration, but charges brought down and assessed by a jury of his peers, 12 people, 12 New York residents, not the DOJ, not the DOJ directly handing out those judgments. But you have this man that feels like he has been politically imprisoned and punished and harassed by the Biden-Harris administration and many on the left. I mean, he calls the left the enemy from within, that if necessary should be handled by the military. So, I mean, you have this completely unstable man, called unstable, unfit to serve by two different 4-star generals. But we're gonna believe Trump, right? That's what blows my mind about the right, is they will blow off 4-star generals and they'll just believe Trump. We have this guy entering office, having appointments like Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth. Thank God Matt Gaetz is out the window. But just so many other picks. Marjorie Taylor Greene at leading a subcommittee at DOJ. Essentially going to be America's top decision maker for the governmental efficiency, like whatever that entails. So, and Trump thinks he has a mandate by the people, when he did win electorally in a pretty big margin, but like actual popular vote was very, very close. Was one of the closest elections in modern history. Was the closest election since Bush Gore, if I'm not mistaken. I might be getting that wrong. I think it was Bush Kerry, maybe. I'm not sure. But anyways, yeah, it might have been Bush Kerry, 2004. But anyways, so we are dealing with a completely different ball game than we dealt with the first time around. And the left is going to need to stay in the game. It's so easy to want to be defeated, want to give up, want to call it quits. That is not an option. That is not an option if you're an American citizen and claim to be a patriot, claim to care, claim to actually care enough about politics to keep an eye on what's going on, the direction of your country, how your voice and your vote does matter. Apathy is the death of democracy. The left was very apathetic this election go round, at least compared to 2020. They have a lot of questions to answer and some soul searching to do, especially those that did not place their vote. So that's kind of where we're sitting at. That's the purpose of my channel, is to talk left-wing, left-center politics. I fully intend to host conservative guests and discuss conservative thoughts, because clearly just being left on the left, having left news outlets, being the main source of information, or at least seemingly, that doesn't work. The conservative ideals need to be discussed. The left, who knows if that ad never existed, but very well what could have been the defeating blow for the left was that trans commercial. So these things need to be discussed. Answers need to be found. Middle ground needs to be found on some issues. There are plenty of issues, such as like healthcare stances, healthcare for all, where middle ground is either going to be really hard to reach or just unsustainable. But these things need to be discussed in level-headed manners, in polite manners, courteous manners. We're supposed to be friends. We're all Americans. There's 330 million of us. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of different ideas. And that is not half and half Democrat, Republican. We're all people. We all have different beliefs. We all deserve a voice. One voice, one vote, one voice, whatever that is. I like that idea. So that's going to be the purpose of this channel. A quick about me is, just wrap this up and keep this small, is I used to lean right. And this was in the sense of I was very uneducated in many ways. First of all, I leaned right because that's what my family was. My family leaned right. Grew up in a family of farmers. Farmed myself. From like 8 years old, I was on a tractor until about 18, whenever I went to college. And my parents ended up, stopped farming after college anyways. And during the summer, I was always training for soccer, and they told me no. But anyways, I grew up conservative, mainly because of family. Just like a football team, you grow up because your parents are fans of this team, kind of thing, right? And I'm also in Oklahoma, blood red Oklahoma. Always been, no. In my lifetime, has been blood red. But anyways, I grew up in that environment, believing that the right was the party that had better economies, that were stewards of the economy. Fiscally conservative sounded ideal, and I was fiscally conservative literally up until about the beginning of this year, 2024. I had right social ideals as well, conservative social ideals, up until about college, when I saw more communities of people, especially the LGBTQ plus community. My horizons mentally were just widened. I realized a lot of closed-mindedness that I had, and I come on, it's not like I'm some changed 180 person. We all still deal with our own issues. But as far as being open to all people, all races, all genders, being able to love each other, being able to get married with one another, these were things that I didn't always hold, that I didn't always believe. But that changed around college. And up until about a year ago, I leaned left socially, leaned right fiscally. So I considered myself center, even though I was probably still further left, if nothing else, then because of what the Republican Party has become, thanks to MAGA and thanks to Trump. this weird, unrecognizable monster that it's become. And I'm going to call it what it is. I'm not going to play around. That's another reason why we're here, is because of mainstream news outlets, you know, whitewashing, you know, or whatever you want to call it. Sane washing, excuse me, not whitewashing, sane washing Donald Trump. So I'm going to call it what it is. He is a legitimate threat to democracy. We need to discuss these issues. We need to unite with the other side of the aisle to work on solutions together, to move forward together. And like when I did my research, which is kind of where I was trying to go with this about me thing, Democratic presidencies over the last nearly 100 years since Truman, far better economies, better GDP, better real wage growth, which takes into account inflation, higher corporate profits, which is going to be something that, you know, everybody who loves capitalism will say, well, that's good for capitalism, that the businesses are winning out and doing better. Far better stock market returns, almost twice as high. Unemployment far lower. Job growth, job numbers far higher. These are all statistics, and you can double check me because I've done my research. The Democrats lead all across the board economically, and at least in my opinion, and you know, and some objective, like some things are objective, like the fact that, I'm sorry if you disagree with me, but to me this is objective. This is not opinion. Gay people should be able to marry each other. Like that's not opinion in my opinion. I'm sorry. That's kind of a conundrum, obviously, right? But to me, just like how a person who is not a bigot is going to say white and black people are equal. That's what I'm going to say about gay people in marriage. They have every bit of equality and every bit of right to marriage. Okay? So that's why I don't say these are not. So there are some things that are not objective. So the fact that the Democrats are the party of some of those, and I'm not just talking about virtue signaling or grandstanding, but these legitimate issues, these things we try to move progressive, you're telling me that they're better in those social issues and they blow out economics too? Look at blue states versus red states, GDP per capita. So like forget about California just having a bunch of people, which Texas and Florida have a bunch of people too. But it doesn't matter about the number of people. It's about GDP per capita. The top 10 states are all blue by a lot. The top welfare states, the top states that need state assistance and federal assistance for the impoverished, the top 10 are all red, except for one, New Mexico. They're not number one. That's not what I mean by that. They're like, well, I forget what they are. But they're in the top 10, and they're the only blue state. Gun violence, just an aside. This is not really economics. Definitely will be a topic sometime on the channel. The top 10 states in gun violence per capita, are all red. So, you know, it's things that, to me, you would think that the normal person could look at evidence of something and then be able to drop their biases and say, hey, I mean well. I want to learn. I want to hold correct. And by correct, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just, again, calling it what it is from my left biases, but I'm calling it what it is. Correct viewpoints. So I'm going to change my mind to it. You would think that'd be the case. And I believe it is for so many people. And I think that there are a lot of people that are very misinformed, thanks again to the right's propaganda disinformation machine, Elon Musk, disinformation, not misinformation, disinformation savant, and Trump, who has somehow mainstreamed facts being fake or news outlets being fake news. Everybody's fake. If it's not what I like, then it's fake. I don't want to interview with 60 Minutes because they're going to fact check me. Meanwhile, they fact check everybody, including Harris And no, notice I didn't say Kamala right there because I gave her the same respect that every single politician running for president of all time has gotten, which is being called by their last name. These things are ingrained in our society. So, there will be a lot to discuss. Um, if you got it this far, I really appreciate it. As you can tell from my surroundings, from my camera, from my lighting, everything, I am totally as rookie as it gets. I have a very high passion for my country and for politics, and I thought I would channel this into a YouTube channel. So that's all for my first video. I'm going to be repeating a lot of the elements of this intro until I can just kind of get the wheels going on this channel. So thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. Stay tuned. We're going to get through this together. And if you're on the opposite side of the spectrum of my political spectrum, thank you so much for joining and for listening today. Please leave a comment. I listen. I will listen. I will read these comments. I will respond either in video or in text in the comment section as often as I can, or as often as I see necessary, as I see good for the channel. So just thank you, and I look forward to trying to pump out content as much as possible. I will be seeing y'all soon. Have a good night or good morning.